High above Cusco, the first thing that catches the eye is not the scale of Sacsayhuamán, but the impossible fit of its stones. Massive blocks locked together so tightly that a blade seems like it would hesitate at the seams. For centuries, visitors have stood here and asked the same quiet question. How did a pre-industrial civilization shape and place stones like these with such confidence? The answer still depends on which mystery you think matters most. Sacsayhuamán rises on a ridge above the old Inca capital, a ceremonial complex tied to power, ritual, and memory. It is not just a ruin, it is a statement carved in stone. The site matters because it sits at the center of a larger debate about lost knowledge in the Andes. Some see remarkable engineering alone, while others see hints of techniques that were never fully preserved. Long before modern surveys, local tradition already treated these walls as extraordinary. Spanish chroniclers later described a place of staggering labor, but the surviving masonry still invites deeper speculation. What makes the wall unforgettable is not a single stone, but the cumulative precision across hundreds of surfaces. The joints twist, angle, and interlock in a way that looks almost deliberate beyond necessity. Supporters of extraordinary theories point first to the size of the blocks. Some weigh many tons, and the geometry suggests planning that feels almost modern in its confidence. Then comes the question of transport. These stones were quarried from elsewhere, moved across difficult terrain, and set into place without wheeled machinery, draft animals, or iron tools in the European sense. That alone does not make the work impossible, but it does make the achievement feel rare. The engineering problem is not only how to move stone, but how to make it arrive already prepared for its neighbors. At the wall itself, the stones seem to have been individually negotiated into place. No two faces are quite the same, yet the fit is so exact that the structure appears alive with intention. This is where the precision stonework theories begin to widen. Some researchers suggest long, patient shaping with abrasives and stone hammers, while others wonder whether the builders used methods now forgotten. The most compelling detail is the way the masonry resists earthquakes. In a region where the ground moves, the wall's irregular joints and inward lean may have helped the structure survive for centuries. That resilience gives the builders a practical genius that is easy to underestimate. Even the most skeptical reading must admit the walls were designed with an intimate understanding of stress, weight, and balance. Yet the mystery deepens when the stones are examined one by one. Some surfaces appear smoothed with extraordinary care, as if the final fitting mattered as much as the raw material itself. Around the site, the scale shifts from wall to wall, from giant blocks to smaller fitted stones, suggesting a system rather than a single trick. That system is still debated because no complete construction manual survived. Inca oral tradition and later Andean stories add another layer, often hinting at ancestral knowledge, sacred instruction, or guidance from the sky. Whether symbolic or literal, those stories keep the walls connected to something larger than stone. That connection to the sky is part of why this site lingers in the imagination. The stones feel grounded in the earth, yet the whole complex seems oriented toward ritual, cosmology, and power above the valley. Some of the strongest claims focus on the sheer consistency of craftsmanship. Across long stretches, the wall maintains a visual logic that suggests repeated methods, disciplined labor, and a shared architectural language. Still, the conventional explanation has weight. Archaeologists point to patient quarrying, rope transport, trial fitting, and generations of accumulated skill, all within a society that excelled at organization. That reading does not erase the wonder, it sharpens it. A civilization can be fully human and still produce work so refined that later ages struggle to reconstruct the process. What remains unresolved is the level of precision needed for the largest stones. Did builders measure by eye, by template, by repeated adjustment, or by a technique that left no obvious trace? The unanswered questions multiply when you consider the labor force. Even with a strong state and skilled workers, the time, coordination, and sheer persistence required would have been immense. And yet the finished walls do not look improvised. They look intentional, almost ceremonial, as if the act of making them was part engineering and part sacred performance. That is why precision stonework theories endure. They are not sustained by one dramatic clue, but by the accumulation of small impossibilities that never fully settle into a simple story. Skeptics question whether modern imagination turns difficulty into mystery too quickly. The Andes were home to brilliant builders, and brilliance alone can explain a great deal when generations refine a craft. Even so, the site still resists complete closure. The surviving stones are the evidence, but the exact sequence of cuts, lifts, and final fits remains partially hidden inside the work itself. That is the heart of the Sacsayhuamán mystery. Not whether the builders were capable, but whether capability alone explains the elegance of the result. The wall feels like a message from a lost method. Maybe that method was entirely terrestrial, preserved in labor, ritual, and memory. Or maybe the old stories of sky-linked knowledge are echoes of something more unusual than history is ready to name. The best case for wonder is not that every question is unanswered, but that the surviving evidence still feels larger than the explanations we can easily hold. The stones remain stubbornly persuasive. And perhaps that is why Sacsayhuamán continues to draw investigators, pilgrims, and skeptics alike. Each group sees the same wall, yet each leaves with a different sense of what humanity may once have known. The conventional story explains the labor, the tools, and the social organization, but it does not fully dissolve the feeling of astonishment. Something about the precision still asks to be looked at twice. So the wall stands as both achievement and riddle, a monument to human skill that also leaves room for stranger possibilities. In that space between certainty and awe, the mystery stays alive,